earth ever known. So we all a family. And we're gonna see when they had the fatherless, hey, they stepped up and they took care of those the ones who didn't have a father or mother. It's the same thing we do today. Some of us, but we've been so westernized and everything. Hey, we get to a point now we don't even want to deal with our own people anymore. Then we're gonna look at the widow, how we was instructed how to take care of the widow. But let's get started. Let's start in Exodus chapter 22. Jump right on in. Exodus chapter 22. We're gonna be rolling through this. We're gonna be rolling through this lesson. So y'all hold your comments unless you got a precept. And it got to be brief. Exodus chapter 22, we'll read verse 23 through 24. What does it say, my brother?
You shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child.
That's right.
If thou afflict them in any wise, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry.
Hey, you hear that? Because we're going to show you, hey, they was abusing or taking advantage of the widows. And then you got children, what you mean the fatherless, the one don't have a father, mother. You got children in the orphanage. And we're going to show you, give you an example. A brother stepped up and took care of the business. What did he say?
If thou afflict them in any wise, and they cry out at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry.
Yeah.
And my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword. Dang. And your wives shall be widows, and your children father.
Right, you're gonna put that thing on there. When you abusing the widows and the fatherless, hey, I will hear that. Hey, take this thing very seriously. Because he talking to these are the laws that he passed down. He gave Moses to give to Israel. And hey, taking this thing very serious. Let's go to Psalms chapter 68. Psalms chapter 68. We're gonna read verses 4 through 6. He said, hey, they start crying out to me, I'm gonna hear their voice. 68 and verse 4. What does it say, T?
Sing unto Yah.
Yeah.
Sing praises to his name. Extol him that rideth upon the heavens. His name is Jah.
Yeah.
And rejoice before him.
Look at, I put that in there because, a lot of people say, why y'all be saying Yah? There it is. Say singing to him, right? Right. That's who you're going to be dealing with. Go ahead and read.
A father of the fatherless, a judge of the widows, is God in his holy habitation.
That's right. Hey, and then you righteously judging the widow to take care of them. Hey, that's a good thing. Go ahead and read.
He setteth the solitary in famine. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains.
Yeah.
But the rebellious dwell in the dry land.
Hey, sometimes the Most High got to bring you out of your family because you think about a lot of situations. People have children and they're not in good situation. That's why you might have a lot of children in this system, what they call the system now, DHS or whatever, because you got a lot of unfit parents can't take care of the children or they in danger in the situation. Hey, in some cases, I got to pull you out of there and get somebody else to come in there and raise you up. Let's go to Psalms chapter 10, one verse. Psalms chapter 10. Because you hear a lot of people say, hey, I wasn't raised by my parents, especially the ones who's older. Hey, my grandparents raised me. Well, I was raised by my uncle. Well, my aunt took me in. You know what I'm saying? But some of them do a good job. Sometimes your parents not fit to take care of you. And then you got to go back, and they could have been a young parent. They could have been 15, 16, 17. Hey, what did we know about at that age about parents? Nothing. Psalms chapter 10, 14, what did it say?
Thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite.
Yeah.
To requite it with thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee.
Yeah.
Thou art a helper of the father.
That's right. Because we got to take care of the Most High. Most High Yah is, he into taking care of people, right? He into making sure everybody doing what they supposed to do. That's why we started this. I started this series a couple of Sabbaths ago. Everybody got a role to play. Sometimes, like you say, sometimes you got to bring folks in. other people's children in to raise them up. Is it an easy job to do? No, because it's hard raising your own children. I like my wife, she asked me at one point, and I was kicking against it until I started dealing with this right here. I had to change her heart. Like, man, I don't want to deal no more children. Sometimes, that's me talking. Hey, most I can have something else. Hey, I'm gonna slide this over here. You gonna take care of the child, whether you want to take care of it or not. But he'll put a spirit on me where, hey, I'm gonna put him to this, start teaching this word. Like our brother-in-law. I commend them. They got 3 little children that they adopted and taking care of them. And when them children come up and visit, and they see these things, they say, so you go to church on such and such. And they know because they being taught. We talking about little ones. Right. I'll praise. Let's go to Job chapter 29. Let's look at it some more. Job chapter 29. Man, we so far from our heritage and what we supposed to be doing. It's a crash shame. We inherit the last 2, didn't we? Job chapter 29, we're going to pick it up at verse 11. We'll read 11 and verse 12. Because he said, hey, I'm going to deliver you from out of certain situation, dealing with the children or whatever. Go ahead and read.
When the ear heard me, then it blessed me. And when the eye saw me, it gave witness to me.
Go ahead.
Because I delivered the poor that cried, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help.
That's right. Because he said, hey, dealing with these fatherless children and everything, when they cry out to me, and I hear their voice, I'm going to hear their voice, and you mistreat them, I'm cracking your head wide open, even with the widow. And it's a damnable shame you taking advantage of the poor, and you did taking advantage of the widow who doesn't have anybody to take care of her. Right. Hey, Israel had wicked men doing that. Mm-hmm. And they call themselves priests, right? That's what they call themselves. Let's go look at it some more. Isaiah chapter 1, 2 verses. Isaiah chapter 1, 16 and 17. No wonder this lesson short. Guess the most high saw the time we had. Isaiah chapter 1, 2 verses, 16 and 17. 16 and 17.
Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes and cease to do evil.
That's right. He said you got to make yourself clean, because you can't be a dirty joker dealing with the fathers and the widows, dealing with each other, even dealing with you as a working in a household, head of the household. You understand? Man, it's so important, especially for the young men. Everybody got a role to play in this thing, but you got to make yourself clean through this word. This is the only thing that keeps you clean. Go ahead.
It says, learn to do well.
Yeah.
Seek judgment, relieve the oppressed.
Yeah.
Judge the fatherless, and plead for the widow.
He's talking about the poor. He's talking about the fatherless. He's talking about the widow. And all through the script, you can do some more due diligence. You can go through there and look on your own. But hey, all through the book, you talk about widows and fatherless. Talk about the poor and everything. These are the ones that the so-called people, they would take advantage of these people. To this day, they still doing the same thing. Let's go to Esther chapter 1. We're going to show you in Esther. I chose this story because it has multiple meanings in it. Number 1, we're going to talk about the fatherless. Number 2, we're going to talk about how a father adopted, which was a relative, to be a father to Esther. It's going to show you how Mordecai, he cared about the whole nation, which is the whole nation is the family, right? How he cared about the whole family. And they're going to show you how Esther stepped in and how he taught her. And it was a bit going on where she had to step in. It was all straight about the Most High. But the point I'm making is, hey, he put them in right places to get certain things done. But listen to the story. Esther chapter 1, we're going to read verses 1 through 12. Then we'll skip down to 15 through 22. Esther 1.
While y'all getting there, I'm going to shoot out a quick precept. This is Rock 4 and 10. Just write this one down. Be as a father unto the fatherless, and instead of a husband unto their mother. So should thou be as the son of the Most High, and he shall love thee more than thy mother loved thee.
Praise. That's
That was Sirach 4 and 10.
because we need everything we need, especially out of this book, to help us out, man, in this walk. In all the scenario, like we said last night, in the scenario, what you're going through, you can find it right here in this book. Because somebody already been there, done that. Esther chapter 1 and verse 1. What did it say?
Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this is Ahasuerus which reigned from India unto Ethiopia, under over 127 provinces, that in those days when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes of the provinces being before him.
Now this king right here, this guy was very powerful. And he reigned all over. You see, sometimes, you know, when you're in this captivity, when we're in captivity, Most High put you in a certain spot. Hey, that's why I want to kick against all these nations, man. I don't dog the people out because, hey, he'll find somebody, he'll put a clean heart on the one that ruling these nations, just like he did Daniel with Nebuchadnezzar. And hey, they'll look out for you. That's right. Go ahead and read. We'll find out in this story. Go ahead and read.
In the 3rd year of his reign, I read though.
Yes,
sorry. Verse 4, when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days. And when those days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace.
And he hooked them up. They partying, right? Go ahead and read.
Unto great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where were white, green, and blue hangings, fastened with cords of fine linen and purple, to silver rings and pillars of marble.
The way the story going, he did his inner circle. And then look here, I'm gonna invite the other people. King feeling good, ain't he? Go ahead.
The beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black and marble. And they gave him drinking vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse from one another, and royal wine in abundance according to the state of the king. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel, for so the king had appointed to all officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
That's right. So we're gonna get into this. The king, he feeling good and everything. And look what the queen did. She got her own agenda. Go ahead and read.
Her girl's over there chilling.
Yeah, go ahead and read, because you know, you had these situations going on. I'm just using it as a structure in the house. You know what I'm saying? You got the king, you got the queen. All you sisters call yourself queen, you got a king somewhere, ain't it? Y'all gonna clown the king out? Let's see how she clown the king out. Go ahead and read.
It says, and the drinking. Verse 9. Also, Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to King Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Bagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains.
Where are you?
Verse 10.
I tell you what, skip down. We even worry about all that. But he invited. Look here, they all showed up.
You're gonna read 11 and 12.
Leave that 11, 12.
Okay, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. But the queen refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamber. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
Hey, you clown him out in front of everybody. I know I got a little wine. I'm feeling good. You know what I'm saying? I'm asking you to come out. I ain't going out there. Sister, have y'all ever done that?
It's not fair.
You can hold your peace. But anyway, skip down to 15. You know, you can read the rest of it on your own, but skip down to verse 15 and let's see what's going on.
What should we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law? because she had not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chambers. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes. Vashti the queen have not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus.
She did do that because we're gonna read this in this next statement.
It says, "For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women."
Like said, hey, not only did to you, but he got us all jacked cheap. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else gonna want to do it. Everybody else want to do it because if the queen can get away with it, I can get away with it too. Yeah. Y'all see how this thing working in the family deal? Go ahead and read.
So that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
Yeah.
When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
Hey, that was a big mistake on that sister. Well, on her, I'm gonna say. Go ahead and read.
Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the kings and princes which have heard of this deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath.
Hey, going back to the household. If the king got himself in check and the queen, I'm gonna go back. If the husband got himself in check and the wife or the helpmeet or the real or whatever you want to call her, hey, got herself in check, but what is she out of line? What is she showing the daughters? What am I showing my son? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. My dad, I ain't got to see mama ain't listen to you. Why should listen to you? You said how this thing roll down. So, right. So he's saying, hey, man, this behavior, all these women look up to you, you the queen, but you displaying this negative behavior, making me look bad. I got to do something about that. Go ahead and read.
If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and Medes, that it not be altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. Yeah.
Go ahead and read.
And when the king's decree which he shall make shall be published throughout his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna hit it right there. Let's go into. Y'all can read those other two on your own for time's sake. Let's go into chapter 2. Let's read this more in this story. Let's go to Esther chapter 2 and pick it up at verse 1. We'll read 1 through 12, and then we'll skip down to 16 through 20. What does it say, brother?
After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servants that minister unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hesh, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them.
Okay, he's looking for somebody else now. Have you noticed? He said he wants the fair young virgins, right? Pretty. Yeah. Go ahead and read.
It says, and let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti.
Yeah.
And the thing pleased the king, and he did so.
Okay.
Now in Shushan the palace, there was a certain Jew, a Jew, whose name was Mordecai, son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish of Benjamin, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah. Right. Whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. Right.
So he brought her in. Go ahead and read.
And the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So it came to pass when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, And when many maidens were gathered together in Shushan the palace, to the custody of Hejai, that Esther was brought unto the king's house, to the custody of Hejai, keeper of the women.
So he requests all these women in, and Esther was with them too. Go ahead and with them.
And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him. And he speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women.
Boy, he went real quick, didn't he? Go ahead and read.
Esther had not shown her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. Right, that you broke.
I rage. Go ahead.
And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house.
Yeah.
To know how Esther did and what should become of her.
Okay, because he raised her up, I done trained her. I gave her law, statutes, commandment. I'm gonna see what she's gonna do with it. Go ahead and read.
12. And when every maid's turn was come to go into King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months according to the manner of women, for so were the days of purification accomplished, to wit 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women.
That's right. Skip down to verse 16. Now she came in, Mordecai said, look here, we're gonna keep this thing. We don't want nobody knowing that we know each other. But anyway, skip down to 16 and pick it up, brother.
All right. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his royal house in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all women.
Yes, sir.
And she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins. So that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. And Esther had not yet shown her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him.
Down in captivity, down in Jerusalem, and she was in there. She said she didn't show her kindred nor her people, so they was in there working too. Right. But she went in there, kept it all cool. Y'all can read the rest of that on your own for time's sake. Let's get down into let's go to Esther chapter 3. Read the rest of it on your own. Esther chapter 3. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1 through 15. Esther chapter 3, verse 1 through 15, because Israel always had enemies. The book told us, hey, we go back in Deuteronomy 28, he said, hey, you're going to be carried away captive into the land of your enemies, to the four corners of the earth. But during this time, they were down in Babylon.
Right.
Same enemies. Same thing going on. There's going to be a time, we're working on lessons, there's going to be a time, the same stuff going to come up on us. Pay attention to chapter 3. Go ahead and read.
After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman. For the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did reverence him.
Hey, because Haman is a dirty joker, and he hated the Jews.
Right. If I can add some, just a little off topic. This show you like you can inspire a generation of wickedness with your bad decisions, because this man descended from the same guy that Saul was supposed to wipe out. So later on down the line, this same dude oppressing our nation. somebody from his descendants is president or president of our nation. But I just wanted to point that out.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because if family would have take care of the business in the beginning, we wouldn't have this problem.
Exactly.
That's why we're going back to remember in the second part 2, when this guy took Judah's sister.
Second.
Hey man, we're gonna go out there and handle that business, man, because you don't defile our sister like that. Saul didn't handle his business. Now you got a problem. Go ahead and read, brother.
And the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did reverence him, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had shown him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
You want to wipe them all out. That sounds like a group of people here in America too, don't you? I want to kill all the, they say Jews, and all the niggards. Same spirit. Go ahead and read.
In the first month, did I skip verse? No, verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom.
That's going back to the list y'all did, ain't it?
Yep.
When all, you had all the nations, they were scattered out, right? But a lot of people think that these letters, this is off top, but think these letters were written to the other nations, right? They were writing to our people.
Amongst the nations.
Learning your way is learning something on your way to learning something, right? But these are our people. This is family we're reading about. Go ahead and read.
Their laws are diverse from all people.
Hey, our laws still diverse from all people. We're reading them. We're gonna read some of. Hey, it's always been like that. These people got a problem with this here. They hijack this book, twist your mind. They didn't mess with the word. They just twist your mind. But when you go back to reading this stuff and start keeping it, say, hey, it's a problem. Go ahead and read.
The king's laws. Neither keep they the king's laws, the laws of the land. But anyway, therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business.
Say, I'm paying folks to wipe y'all out. They got a hit on it. Hey, to keep it real, ain't gonna be an event gonna happen. It's gonna happen again, people. I'm not trying to spook anybody, but it is what it is. Go ahead and read.
Into the king's treasury. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy.
The Jews' enemy.
Enemy.
Is it an enemy?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All day long. Even within the nation. Go ahead and read.
It was
you got
verse 10.
No.
And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called unto the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province according to the writing thereof.
Well, he covering all areas, ain't he? But if I am not leaving no stone unturned, I'm making sure everybody get this message. Go ahead.
and to every people after their language.
Mhm.
In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring.
That brother, hey, ain't gonna say no brother. Ain't no brother us. He was serious about this thing. Go ahead and read.
And the letters were sent by post unto all the king's provinces
Mhm.
to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women,
They wiping everybody out
in one day.
Hey, in one day. Hey, don't think this right here letter ain't off the table. Oh, it's still on the table.
Never came
If you
out.
go back and look at it, remember we were saying that all nations was confederate.
Yeah.
And they was at the table. They still go to the table. They call it United Nations. Guess who ain't at the table at United Nations? Israel. All the other nations at the table except for us. Go ahead and read.
The governors that were over every province. Nah, I'm at verse 13. My bad,
You're in
yeah.
middle 13. Yeah.
Even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
That's right.
The copy of the writing for the commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day.
That's right.
The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed.
They little discussion on, he probably going by what all he was gonna do. But Mordecai had to have a talk with Esther. Let's go into the Apocrypha. Let's go to the Apocrypha, and we're gonna go to Esther chapter 14. Because he raised his niece. He raised her up. And he taught her well. So when you adopt someone, you bring in a father's child, you adopt someone, hey, this is how you want to raise the child. Chapter 14, and we're going to read, it's kind of lengthy, 1 through 19. Hold on, man, I'm in the wrong spot. I got to go there with y'all. Let me get there. Esther, chapter 14, and is it chapter 14?
Yeah, it's chapter 14.
Yeah, where?
You know what? They probably, in the Apocrypha, it got chapter 14, but it also got in there where it's supposed to go in this book. So they probably got it condensed in that, but we just had to find the they probably got it condensed. They kind of split up the chapters in a lot of these different books a little different.
Yeah. Thank you.
What is to start off with?
We good to go. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll just use.
All right.
Let me make sure. I'm in. Go ahead and read.
All right, chapter 14, verse 1.
Now listen here. I mean, this is a prayer that Queen Esther prayed. For what we just read, how Haman come up on us, he paid them. He said, look, I'm going to pay you. I'm going to get these guys to go, and I want them to kill every last one of them through all the property all over. They've been scattered. Listen to this prayer, because Mordecai raised this young lady, and listen to what she's saying in this prayer. Go ahead and read.
Queen Esther also, being in the fear of death, resorted unto the Lord, and laid away her glorious apparel, and put on the garments of anguish and mourning. Instead of precious ointment, she covered her head with ashes and dung, and she humbled her body greatly. And all the places of her joy she filled with her torn hair.
Hey, because Mordecai had to come back and have a conversation with her to remind her, don't think because you queen that this thing won't come up on your head too. We're going to read that. But once she heard that, and he told her something else about how they're going to cut your family, your father's house off. But go ahead and read.
And she prayed unto the Lord God of Israel, saying, O my Lord, thou only art our king. Help me, desolate woman, which have no helper but thee. For my danger is in my hand. From my youth up, I have heard in the tribe of my family that thou, O Lord, tookest Israel from among all people.
He said, I'm the only family of the earth I ever know. He pulled us out to be his peculiar people in the end, right? To be his people. Go ahead.
And our fathers from all their predecessors for perpetual inheritance. And thou hast performed whatsoever thou didst promise them. And now we have sinned before thee. Therefore hast thou given us into the hands of our enemies.
That's right.
Because we worship their gods, O Lord, thou art righteous. Nevertheless, it satisfied them not that we are in bitter captivity.
Yes, sir.
But they have stricken hands with their idols.
That's right.
That they will abolish the thing that thou with thy mouth has ordained, and destroy thine inheritance, and stop the mouth of them that praise thee, and quench the glory of thy house and of thine altar.
That's all off. Go ahead and read.
And the open mouths of the heathen to set forth the praise of the idol, and to magnify a fleshly king forever.
That's right. So that's what we read about. Go ahead and read.
O Lord, give not thy scepter unto them that be nothing.
That be what?
That be nothing. And let them not laugh at our fall, but turn their device upon themselves, and make him an example that have begun this against us.
The device that Hammond got going on, that's what he's praying about. Let that thing fall on his head. So when are we gonna start praying, even like in our own family? When are we gonna start praying these type of prayers? Hey man, we got power in this thing. We just don't use it. We don't use it at all. Go ahead and read.
Remember, O Lord, make thyself known in time of our affliction, and give me boldness, O King of the nations, and Lord of all power.
Yes, sir.
Give me eloquent speech in my mouth before the lion.
Yes, sir.
Turn his heart to hate him that fighteth against us.
That's right. Conversation with him and turn his heart so that the device that was brought against us will fall back on his head. Go ahead and read.
That they may be an end of him, and all that are like-minded to him.
Read.
But deliver us with thy hand, and help me that am desolate, and which have no other helper but thee. Thou knowest all things, O Yahweh. Thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous, and abhor the bed of the uncircumcised, and of all the heathen.
These are all these heathen.
That's crazy.
That's right.
And thou knowest my necessity, for I abhor the sign of my high estate. Wow. Which is upon my head in the days wherein I show myself, and that I abhor it as a mistress rag, and that I wear it not when I am private by myself. Man.
Bring you now.
Yeah. That's how she felt being married to a heathen. and then
it is what it is.
And then thy handmaid have not eaten at Haman's or Haman's table.
Yeah.
That I have not greatly esteemed the king's feast, nor drunk the wine of the drink offering.
I don't want none of that, man.
And had thine handmaids any joy since the day that I was brought hither to this present, but in thee, O Lord God of Abraham. O thou mighty God above all, hear the voice of the forlorn, and deliver us out of the hands of the mischievous, and deliver me out of my fear.
We getting ready to read in this thing. Hey, this whole lesson, we might not read all of it for time's sake, because I still want to hear some other examples in the book. But this whole story, read this whole book of Esther. Hey, it's showing you all different scenarios. Let's go to Esther chapter 4. She done prayed this prayer. Let's go see what she was talking about. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 1.
Verse 1.
When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry.
Hey, that's the same thing, did she?
Right.
Go ahead and read.
And came even before the king's gate, for none might enter to the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, fasting and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it to her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent Raymond to clothe Mordecai and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not.
Certain events had to happen. Let me see. For time's sake, I'm going to skip down to see, Esther didn't, at that point, she didn't know what was going on. I tell you what, go ahead and read through it.
Okay.
Yeah, go on and read through it.
All right. Verse 6.
Uh-huh.
So Hathach went forth to Mordecai into the street. Then Esther called for Hathach, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her. And he gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was.
Yeah.
So Hathach went forth to Mordecai into the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them.
Hey, she prayed that in the prayer. Go ahead and read.
And also he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him, and to request before him for her people. Okay,
we're gonna skip down for time's sake. I'm gonna get right to it because this is when she heard what was going on, and that's when she started praying. Skip down to skip down to verse 12. Read 12 and 13.
Okay. And they told Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
Hey, and then he had put in her mind, hey, because you're queen, you still one of us. That's right. So you can read the rest of it on your own. Man, the time rolling. Let's go into I tell you what, read the rest of it down to 17, verse chapter 5. Let's read a little chapter 5. Let's go to chapter 5, pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead, bro. Yes, sir.
All right. Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house.
She put it on because she said, look, when I'm away from here, I don't even want that stuff on me. Go ahead and read.
Over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter.
That's right, because she said, hey, please don't leave your scepter with these people. That's rulership, ain't it? Go ahead and read.
Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be given thee to the half of the kingdom. And Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed. Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king have said. But then Haman went forth that day joyful with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai.
That was no softly, but
so one. He wasn't no boot.
They'll let him know, I don't like you. I know you don't like me, and I don't like you.
Right.
Because you have to try to kill my people. So go ahead and read, brother.
Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself. And when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and the servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared for myself. And tomorrow I am invited unto her also with the king.
Well, you don't know he at the table slaughtering.
Man, he sure don't know.
Go ahead. Go ahead and read and the rest of this chapter 6. Y'all read the rest of this, because that prayer that she prayed, it all unfolds. It tell you exactly what Haman tried to do. He tried to, but it ended up falling back on his own head. Go ahead and read.
Then says Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak down to the king that Mordecai be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the king pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
That's right, because like you said, if you read, continue on to read, and I hate that we can't get into it, but read the rest of that story. And like I said, it has a whole lot to do with, the fatherless, dealing with how Israel took on their own people and raised them up. He gave them laws, statutes, commandments, just like Deuteronomy 6 request us to do. If you want to have, your children, you got to teach them. And then he had to remind, look here, just thinking she was a selfish person. Queen and blah, 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 blah. But hey, Mordecai was looking out for the nation. It wasn't just an individual thing. She looked out for him too. And then she went to praying. So she was talking with him. And she said, look, you the only one can help us. I don't have nobody else to help. Let's go to Timothy chapter 5. Let's look at widow. 1 Timothy, yeah. That's what's on that sheet. Yeah, it's 1 Timothy chapter 5. He said, hey, you don't mistreat the fatherless or the widow, right? When you say don't do it, don't do it. Now, we talking about somebody wicked now. You got there's some children out there, with some unclean spirits on them. We talking about the ones that we supposed to be. Then you don't want to treat them. You just want to separate yourself from a lot of these folks. Even some of these widows, some of these, we so messed up. What they call a wicked widow. We got some wicked widows out there. We got some black widows out there too. In spite, ain't it? but when we talk about the ones in the faith. Let's look at it. So especially man. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 3. What does it say, bro?
Verse 3. Honor widows that are widows indeed.
That's right.
But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home.
That's right.
And to requite their parents, for that is good and acceptable before Yah.
He said, look here, honor widows that are widows. These ones, they said these ones can't take care of themselves, right? And then if a widow have children, so hey, they're supposed to be taking care of her. It'd be a damnable shame you're a widow, or we'll say grandmama, and the grandchildren can't even take care of them. You got a lot of situations out there like that. Go ahead and read, bro.
It says, now she that is a widow indeed and desolate trusteth in Yah.
That's right.
And continue within supplications and prayers night and day. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth.
Yeah, that's right. Cause you got a lot of them. Hey, husband gone, especially young folk, and they think they got it going on, don't they?
It says, and these things give in charge that they may be blameless.
That they may be what?
Blameless. But if any provide not for his own house, if any provide not for his own house, especially for those of his own house, he have denied the faith and is worse than an infidel.
Man, we gotta take care of the widow. We gotta take care of the father. Supposed to. You know, you might have a sibling or something. Husband died, you know, she by herself, got, you know, son or daughter or whatever, and she can't hardly make it. Hey, we got to pitch in. We supposed to, as a family, we got to help that sister out. Because then when they get of age, a certain thing, they got to help their mother out. Go ahead and read.
Let not a widow be taken into the number under 80 years old, having been the wife of one man. Well reported of for good works. If she have brought up children, if she have lodged strangers, if she have washed the saints' feet, if she have relieved the afflicted, if she have diligently followed every good work.
Hey, that's doing some good work. That's what the nation's supposed to be doing. But we so far from the heritage of the nation, man. Hey, we don't know what to do. You somebody lodging a stranger. How many people let a stranger come in their house? It's hard. Go ahead and read.
It says, but the younger widows refuse. For when they have begun to wax wound against Christ, they will marry.
That's right.
Having damnation, because they have cast off their first faith. And withal, they learn to be idle, wandering about house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers also and busybody, speaking things which they ought not.
Because they ain't got anything else to do. They need some busy work, don't they? What is that?
I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully.
Hey, a lot of young folk nowadays, they don't want to do that, though. You have a few out there, but the majority as a whole, no. Drop your children off over grandma's house. Yeah, leave them in the car while they're at the club. You got a few of them out there handling their business. I give them that. You got a sister here handling her business, ain't it? We got a singing sister. Oh, no. A singing sister. Please read. Hallelujah. Yeah, hallelujah. That's right. Everybody mad. That's right. Us with you. That's right. Go ahead and read.
But some are already turned aside after sake.
That's right.
If any man or woman that believeth have widows, let them relieve them, and let not the church be charged, that it may relieve them that are widows indeed.
That's right. Supposed to take care of it, but hey, back then the church supposed to take care of the widows too, ain't it? If they was in there. How many they doing? How many of these Hebrew camps doing this? I know maybe a handful of them. They got their own community. They have a sister putting funds in a tights bucket. Right, quiet here. Y'all want me to talk about pastors? Y'all want me to talk about y'all? Galatians chapter 5, chapter 6. Let's move a little farther, y'all. Because, hey, like we read earlier, hey, no time. And he ended up taking care of people's business. Showing us how we're supposed to take care of one another. Galatians 6, we'll read 7 through 10. Go ahead.
Be not deceived, for Yah is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
That's right.
For he that soweth to his flesh shall also reap the flesh, shall also of the flesh reap corruption. And he that soweth to the spirit shall of the spirit reap life everlasting.
That's right.
Let us not be weary in well doing. Well doing. For in due season we shall reap if we faint not.
Well, so like we read earlier, hey, you do well when you take care of the fatherless and the widow. That's a good work. But you know, that's a good work. Go ahead and read.
And as we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith.
Especially to them.
That's right.
In no way in the world we supposed to be mistreated, not taken care of. Now we understand that some people, we talking about the widows. We talk about the fathers. We don't have any fathers in here. We have any with them? Yeah. We have any with them? But anyway, you want to? But out there, the one we have, she will take care of. Ain't that right, Mama? But she know if she need us, she can call us, right? That's right. Ecclesiastes. Let's go into the Apocrypha. Sirach 12. We almost there. Sirach chapter 12. We'll read 4 verses. I know when I get older, I want, I want my children to throw me in no nursing home or somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to be thrown in a nursing home. We be in a nursing home together, won't we? Yeah. I still have these fingers on with that speaker. Go ahead, TJ. That's right. I might get it all out, but I'll push it out somehow. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse Ecclesiasticus chapter 12,
Yeah.
verse 1. Mm-hmm. When thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest, so shalt thou be thankful for thy benefit. That's right. Do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense. And if not from him, yet from the Most High.
Yeah, go ahead.
If there can be no good, come to him that is always occupied in evil.
Hey, that's a true statement there. Big Joke ain't thinking about nobody. And what else?
Nor to him that giveth no alms.
You ain't trying to help nobody out. You all about you. And you got children like that. They won't help their parent for nothing. When you need something, if they answer the phone, go ahead. Verse 4.
Give to the godly man and help not a sinner.
Give to the godly man and help not a sinner.
Help everybody.
You don't help nobody that's hell bent on going against the Most High.
Right.
You don't.
You already know, Joker. What you gonna help? You already know you got a sibling or uncle somebody. You know they sprung out on drug and alcohol and stuff, and they come when they hit you up every payday. They know your payday. Or you got a Joker going around knowing all they do all day is steal folks' stuff. They come to you with some stolen goods.
Right.
That's right. Yes, sir. Yes, in there. Read that 5.
All right. Do well unto him that is lowly,
That's right.
but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby. For else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto him.
Let that sink in right there, bro. Let that sink in, man.
I'm trying to help somebody and they end up robbing.
Yeah. Hey, they go down all the time.
Oh, dude.
They go down all the time, man.
Oh, dude.
You got some Corey?
No, I'm just saying, man, you got to answer the wedding day. You just told you.
That's right. That's right. So, hey, if this right here is wisdom, a lot of people they wonder why they get caught up in certain things. They don't have any knowledge.
It is.
We don't. A lot of people don't even know how to run their household right because they don't have no knowledge. Most of us we was taught to run our household according to the American or the heathen way. We've never taught these scripts. Most High open our eyes, we bless. What you got, sister?
Sinner is someone who willfully practice wickedness.
Straight up, yeah.
you come to them about the scripture, they don't even want to hear it. They mock the scripture. That's different from somebody who ain't never heard it. You know what I'm saying? So a sin is somebody who habitually, willfully practices wickedness.
They got 4 chops down, sit down. That was short of a 4 chop. You've been preaching for about 4 hours now, right?
Nah, exactly. Good example. Good example, Hebrew. Good example. Huh? Right. Do he? I mean, have you? Right.
You drop the scriptures off too? Yeah.
Right. Because now the whole thing is, yeah, because it's just like the scriptures say, he who rejects the law, his prayer should be made an abomination. Now that don't apply to everybody who ain't heard it yet, because they hadn't had a chance to accept it or reject it. Yeah, so you know what I'm saying. That you tell him why you bringing this type of food here. You know what I'm saying. This is what the scripture say supposed to be eating. He say, look, I don't want to hear none of that. Forget that Bible. Bring me back some bacon next time. Nah. That's simple. Yeah. Yeah. Now, when you give him the law and he reject it 1 or 2 times inside the 1 or 2 admonitions, you know, you reject them after they reject. Yeah.
You just have trouble with that. So let me ask you, just ask a question. What if your mom, what if your father, your mother are in need? You know they're not keeping the law, statute, commandments, but you know their life's about to get cut out. What you gonna do? You say, now you a sinner, mom and dad, father. Well, you gonna go over there and handle that business? There you go. But check this out. But you know you got a brother, and all he does is go around. You know he's stealing the stuff all day. Hey, sis, what you got something? You got something for me, sis? You keep it moving. Yeah, I got something. Nah, he is over mama house. No, but that's what it's talking about. First Kings. Look at something. First Kings chapter 17. Yeah, we make good time. Hey, this is another widow, and listen to the story. We're gonna read verses. Man, it's pretty lengthy here. Think we'll make it 1 through 24. This one, Elijah visit widow, and he made a request for her to do something. Now, if you doing this story, you read through the story, you'll be like, man, that's kind of cold. The woman already said, that's all I got. And you want to take that? Listen to the book. What did it say, brother?
Elijah the Tishbite, who was the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab, as the Lord God of Israel liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, get thee hence, and turn thee eastward, and hide thyself by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And it shall be that thou shalt drink of the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed thee there. So when he did according to the word of the Lord, he went and dwelt by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening, and he drank of the brook. And it came to pass after a while that the brook dried up, because there had been no rain in the land. And the word of the Lord came, saying, arise, get thee to Zarpahath, which belongeth to Zidon, and dwell there. Behold, I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee. So he arose and went to Zarephath. And when he came to the gate of the city, behold, the widow woman was there gathering of sticks. And he called to her and said, fetch me, I pray thee, a little water in a vessel that I may drink. And as she was going to fetch it, he called to her and said, bring me, I pray thee, a morsel of bread in thine hand. And she said, as the Lord thy God liveth, I have not a cake, but a handful of meal in a barrel, and a little oil in a cruse. And behold, I am gathering 2 sticks, that I may go in and dress it for me and my son, that we may eat it and die. Mm-hmm.
Found enough stuff to eat. Go ahead and read.
And Elijah said unto her, fear not, go and do as thou hast said, but make me thereof a little cake first, and bring it unto me, and after make for thee and thy son.
Hey, you gotta have some faith to
That's right. That's right. That's right, bro.
You got nothing but a handful of this and a little oil.
Yeah.
But you still want me to make you a cake?
Yeah.
But she did it. Go ahead on.
And as a servant, the Lord told you, I'm gonna send you a widow that's gonna sustain you, and you get there and she barely got food.
Yeah.
What told you? Your mind gonna be like, dang, he sent me on a blank mission.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You had to have faith in.
Exactly, man. That's beautiful. It says, and Elijah said unto her, fear not, go and do as thou hast said, but make me thereof a little cake first, and bring it unto me, and after make it for thee and thy son. For thus said the Lord God of Israel, the barrel of meal shall not waste, neither shall the cruse of oil fail, until the day that the Lord sendeth rain upon the earth. And she went and did according to the saying of Elijah, and she and he and her house did eat many days. And the barrel of meal wasted not, neither did the cruse of oil fail, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by Elijah. And it came to pass after these things, that the son of the woman, the mistress of the house, fell sick, and his sickness was so sore that there was no breath left in him. And she said unto Elijah, what have I to do with thee, O man of God? Art thou come unto me to call my sin to remembrance and to slay my son? As a prayer, yeah. Man. And he said unto her, give me thy son. And he took him out of her bosom and carried him into the loft where he abode, and laid him upon his bed. And he cried unto the Lord and said, O Lord my God, hast thou also brought evil upon the widow with whom I sojourned by slaying her son? And he stretched himself upon the child 3 times and cried unto the Lord and said, O Lord my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again.
So, you got a lot of jokers saying, you know, I done healed this person, I did this and I did that. Look like right here, Elijah's one and that's the Most High to come in and do that work. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord heard the voice of Elijah, and the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived.
So that means, look here, you don't have the power, right? Your power comes from the Most High, right? Righteous. Go ahead and read.
Elijah took the child and brought him down out of the chamber into the house, and delivered him unto his mother. And Elijah said, see, thy son liveth. And the woman said unto Elijah, now by this I know that thou art a man of Yah, and that the word of Yahweh is in thy mouth is truth.
That's right. Because you got the Most High, your work won't follow you. That's just like when you come in there and taking care of like Mordecai, his work followed him. Look at the results of Queen Esther. Look at the work. Hey, whatever situation you find yourself in, the Most High can deliver you out of there if you have faith in it. I don't care if you're a widow. I don't care if you're a father's child. Head of the household, he doing right. We've been dealing with that for the past 3 Sabbaths. How the wife can come in and help out. How the children can be blessed, you know, helping the father, doing chores around the house and everything. Let's look at this. What else? Some more. Let's go to Luke chapter 2. 2 verses. Luke chapter 2. We're gonna read verse 36 through 38. We almost there. We got a few more and then we'll be done. Luke chapter 2. Go ahead and read, bro. I get that.
All right. And there was one Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. She was of a great age and had lived with an husband 7 years from her virginity.
Mm-hmm.
She was a widow about 64 years, and departed not from the temple, but served God with fastings and prayers night and day.
Go ahead and read.
She came in that instant, gave thanks likewise unto the Lord, and spake of him to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem.
So you even got it to the work. I don't care what goes on around. Hey, I'm sticking with the Most High, even though I'm Messiah, and I'm gonna stay here and do what I've been doing for forever. So like the young women, they turn they way from the Lord. They want to go do their thing.
Yeah.
There's examples all through this book. Let's go to Mark chapter 12. Let's look at another. Mark chapter 12. Because like I said, you had those taking advantage of these sisters too, these widows. And they didn't sit too well with the Most High, and even the Messiah. He told you. You mess around and mistreat them, I'm gonna crack your head. Matter of fact, I'm gonna kill you. I ain't gonna say crack your head, I'm gonna kill you, and then you're gonna be a widows. 12 and pick it up. 12 and pick it up at verse. I'm tripping. Man, what's wrong with me, man? I was doing it last night, man. I'm off, man. Did we read that already? 12. 32. Okay, go ahead. This is yeah, go ahead.
He said unto them in his doctrine, beware of the scribes which love to go in long clothing and love salutations in the marketplace, and the chief seats in the synagogues and the uppermost rooms at feasts.
The conscious Israelite, a lot of them want to refer this to the Sunday preacher. Man, it's an Israelite class doing the same thing.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. They'll hit you. They doing the same thing. Yeah. They want you buying cars and all that kind of stuff, man. Man, friends are sweeping the floor and everything. Some of them call themselves high priests. Hey, man, they doing the same thing, man. Exactly what's going on right here. Go ahead and read.
Our widow's house,
Yeah.
for a pretense make long prayer.
They out there for a show.
Man, these shall receive greater damnation. And Yahweh sat over against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury. And many that were rich cast in much.
Go ahead and read.
And there came a certain poor widow,
Yeah.
and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto his disciples and said unto them, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow have cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living.
It's all in on it. Like, this all I got. I just throw it in there. You had to have faith. It's just like the one we read about the woman with the meal and the oil. This is all I got. But she didn't complain and everything. She went on and did what Lazarus could have do. Let's move a little farther. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 15. I'm sorry, let's go to Luke. Let's go to Luke chapter 18. We got 3 more spots after this. Because I gotta get the Maccabees in there. You know I gotta get that in there. Luke chapter 18. Yeah. Luke 18 will be verses 1 through 9. Go ahead and read, bro.
And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not faint. Saying, there was in the city a judge which feared not Yah, neither regarded man.
It's wicked. These other jokers in the church, ain't Go ahead and read.
And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, avenge me of my adversary.
Now she came. Go ahead and read.
And he would not for a while, but after he said within himself, though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. And the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge said? And shall not Yah avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily.
In the beginning, there. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on earth?
Hey, man, mistreating people, especially these widows and the fathers. Hey, he told you what I'm gonna do to you. Let's go to Jeremiah 15. Jeremiah 15. We're gonna get that Maccabee. Jeremiah 15, we'll speak it up 2 verses 8 and 9. If y'all know a widow or something in y'all neighborhood, if y'all able to help out, help them out.
Fatherless too.
Fatherless too.
Like it's honorable being what the world calls today a stepfather. You know what I'm saying? But you displaying characteristics of the Most High, being a father to the fatherless. You know what I'm saying? You know, ain't nobody more fatherless than our children.
That's right.
They might have daddies, but he been gone so long, he just as good as not being the father, basically. So, you know what I'm saying? Doing that, that's honorable right there.
And to be honest with you, if you're not teaching your children, you might be in the house. You still ain't teaching them anything. That almost like it being father's ain't. You ain't paying no attention to them. You ain't teaching them anything. But if you do have, you know, in the neighborhood, if you can help out, if they need help them out. That's a good work. Jeremiah 15, verse 8. Go ahead and read, bro.
The widows are increased to me above the sand of the seas. I have brought upon them against the mother of the young men a spoiler at noonday.
Yeah.
I've caused him to fall upon it suddenly and tears upon the city. She that have borne 7 languishes. She have given up the ghost. Her son is gone down while it was yet day. She have been ashamed and confounded, and the residue of them will I deliver to the sword before their enemies, saith the Lord.
7 born and gave up the ghost. Let's go to Second Maccabee. Second Maccabee. And we got one more spot after this. Second Maccabee chapter 7. Let's read into it. I know I got this on here. You want this to say? Here, you can have Second Maccabee. Here you go. Chapter 7. Will you get it, brother? Y'all got it? We racing against this. Let's read about the mother and 7 sons. And you're going to see how, and look at here, you got to have the spirit of Yah on you to pull this off. Maccabee chapter 7, and we're going to read it in its entirety. Go ahead and read, brother.
It came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mother were taken
Yeah.
and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine's flesh.
Do what?
Taste swine's flesh.
Why kings always want to go
Man.
that way? They are enemy, right? Go ahead and read.
And were tormented with scourges and whips.
Uh-huh.
But one of them spake first, said thus, what wouldest thou ask or learn of us?
Mm-hmm.
We are ready to die rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers.
That's
Then the king, being in a rage, commanded pans and cauldrons to be made hot, which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first, and to cut off the utmost parts of his body.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, nothing new under the sun. The stuff they doing back in the early 50s during the slave, hey, been there, done that, ain't it? Go ahead and read.
The rest of his brethren and his mother looking on.
Mm-hmm.
Now when he was thus maimed in all his members, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought to the fire and to be fried in the pan.
Be what?
Fried in the pan.
Hey, from word of Most High Yah, that we supposed, like going back to Deuteronomy 6, that we supposed to be teaching our children, our sons and our sons' sons. This what they was taught. Go ahead and read.
And as the vapor of the pan was for a good space dispersed, they exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully, saying thus, hey, the Lord God looketh upon us, and in truth have comfort in us, as Moses in the song which witnessed to their faces declared, saying, and he should be comforted in his servants. And when the first was dead after this manner, they bought the second to make him a mocking stock. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, they asked him, wilt thou eat before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body?
That won't even be a good question, man. Let me go and get that pig meat.
Okay. And sausage.
Yeah, you got some of that light bread, what they call it. Hey, because they don't know no commandments.
That's right.
All of this is about keeping the commandments, something that their father taught them.
Right.
And the mother, hey, she's a widow. He taught the mother, and they all on one accord. Listen to the story. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he answered in his own language, verse 8, y'all, and said, no. Wherefore he also received the next torment in order as the former did. And when he was at the last gasp, he said, thou, like a fury, takest us out of this present life, but the King of the world shall raise us up, who have died for his laws unto everlasting life. His laws unto everlasting life. After him was the third made a mocking stock, and when he was required, he put out his tongue.
Now, go ahead.
That right soon, holding forth his hands manfully, and said courageously, these I have from heaven, and for his laws I despise them, and from him I hope to receive them again. Insomuch that the king and they that were with him marveled at the young man's courage, that he nothing regarded the pain. Now when this man was dead also, they tormented and mangled the fourth in like manner. And when he was ready to die, he said thus, it is good, being put to death by men, to look for hope from Yah to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life. Finished.
That's Hebrew.
If you had not been born.
That's right. This is Hebrew talking to the heathen.
Right.
Listen to the story. Go ahead.
And afterward they bought the fifth also and mangled him. Then looked he unto the king and said, thou hast power over men, thou corruptible, thou doest what thou wilt. Yet
thou wilt think. Go ahead and read.
Yet think not that our nation is forsaken of God.
That's right.
But abide a while, and behold his great power, and he will torment thee and thy seed.
That's right. Because there's gonna come a day And that's gonna go down. But see, well, you know, when they can't threaten you with death, what else they got? Well, you don't care about this world. What else do you have?
I see them and your descendants.
And your descendants.
And when you get into Alexander the Greek's lineage, what he really was, oh boy, we got some stuff coming though.
Yes, sir.
On that, oh boy,
with it.
Oh boy, man, that's a heavy line right there. But anyway, after him also they brought to the six who being ready to die, said, be not deceived without cause, for we suffer these things for ourselves, having sinned against our God. Therefore marvelous things are done unto us. But think not thou that takest in hand to strive against Yah, that thou shalt escape unpunished.
A sin against God. They talking about the whole nation, the whole family. Go ahead.
But the mother was marvelous above all. The mother was marvelous above all.
Yes, sir.
And worthy of honorable memory. For when she saw her 7 sons slain with the space of one day, she burned with good courage because of the hope that she had in the Lord. She exhorted every one of them in her own language, filled with courage, filled with courageous spirits, and stirring up her womanish thoughts with a manly stomach, and said unto them, I cannot tell how you came into my womb, for neither I gave you breath nor life. Neither was it I that formed the members of every one of you, but doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generation of man and found out the beginning of all things, will also of his own mercy give you breath and life again, as ye now regard not your own selves for his law's sake. Now Antiochus, thinking himself despised and suspecting it to be a reproachful speech, while as the youngest was yet alive, did not only exhort him by words, but also assured him with oaths that he would make him both a rich and a happy man if he returned from the laws of his fathers, and that he would also take him for his friend and trust him with affairs.
Go ahead and read.
But when the young man would in no case hearken unto him, the king called his mother and exhorted her that she would counsel the young man to save his life.
That's right.
You know he talking to. And when he had exhorted her with many words, she promised him that she would counsel her son. But she, bowing herself towards him, laughing the cruel tyrant to scorn, spake in her country language on this manner: O son, have pity upon me that bare thee 9 months in my womb, and gave thee suck 3 years. Dang. And yep. Gave thee suck 3 years. That's crazy. What verse was that? I lost my spot.
Your middle. Yeah.
What verse was that?
That's in the middle of 27. Yeah.
Crazy.
That's you up there, T.
Yeah. Birthed thee 9 months in my womb, and gave thee suck 3 years, and nourished thee, and brought thee up into this age, and endured the troubles of education. I beseech thee, my son, look upon the heaven and the earth, and all that is therein, and consider that God made them of things that were not. That's Hebrews 11:1. And was so mankind made likewise. Fear not this tormentor, but being worthy of thy brethren, take thy death, that I may receive thee again in mercy with thy brethren. While as she was yet speaking these words, the young man said, Whom wait ye for? I will not obey the king's commandment, but I will obey the commandment of the law that was given unto our fathers by Moses. To wait on, get to it. Yeah, stop asking. And thou that has been the author of all mischief against the Hebrews shall not escape the hands of God. For we suffer because of our sins. And though the living Lord be angry with us a little while for our chastening and correction, yet shall he be at one again with his servants. That's right. But thou, O godless man, and of all other most wicked, be not lifted up without a cause, nor puffed up with uncertain hopes, lifting up thy hand against the service of Yah. For thou hast not yet escaped the judgment of the Almighty who seeth all things.
So these all these nations we in. Hey, same thing here. Same thing. That's right. Go ahead, bro.
For our brethren who now have suffered a short pain are dead under God's covenant of everlasting life.
That's right. Go ahead.
Thou, through the judgment of Yah, shall receive punishment for thy pride.
That's right.
But I, as my brethren, offer up my body and life for the laws of our fathers, beseeching God that he would speedily be merciful unto our nation.
Whole family now. Go ahead and read.
And that thou by torments and plagues mayest confess that he alone is God.
That's right.
And that in me and my brethren, the wrath of the Almighty, which is justly brought upon all our nation, may cease. Then the king, being enraged, handled him worse than all the rest, and took it grievously that he was mocked. So this man died undefiled and put his whole trust in the Lord. Last of all, after all the sons, the mother died. Let this be enough now to have spoken concerning the idolatrous feast. Idolatrous feast. And the extreme tortures.
Hey, idolatrous feast. That's why we don't deal with none of that stuff. So when you read this right here, hey, all mothers should read this and give them some type of hope. Hey, his father passed his word down that we was commanded to do in Deuteronomy 6. And then when you have faith in the Messiah, you got that spirit on you. Hey, all this stuff in this word don't mean nothing to you. If it meant for me to die to gain eternal life, I'm out of here. Y'all can stick around and make all the money, work out overtime. You buy all them house cars, we can do whatever you want to do with it. Last place, Matthew chapter 1 and 1 verse. What's that? You don't have 27? What in the world I got that on there? Who put that in there? You do that, TJ? Matthew chapter 1. Hold on for a minute, y'all. Y'all hold me. Matthew chapter 1. Hold on, man. Where's my? I sure got it down. What in the world? Yeah, you did. Fam, hold on for a minute. Matthew's. Be honest with you. Hold on for 1 minute. I don't know. Let me get my original notes. James chapter 1. James chapter 1 and verse 27. James chapter 1 and verse 27. James chapter 1 and verse 27. Say, TJ. Yeah.
And undefiled before Yah and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction.
Yeah.
and to keep himself unspotted from the world.
Hallelujah. Hey, that's the end of family structure according to the Most High. And I hope this helps someone. I know it helped me.
Amen.
Amen. Wow, praise.
You made it, brother. You got any announcements or any questions or anything?
Yeah, we got a brotherhood meeting tomorrow at my house, 5 o'clock. The brothers over there gonna be doing some prayer, gonna be seeking the Lord on some things. Also, just kicking around some knowledge, some ideas for ministry, how we continue to grow, how we can continue to further the kingdom and be good stewards of that which He has given us. So tomorrow, brothers, imagine please leave your wives and children home. We're gonna take care of some serious business. We're gonna be just trying to see what we need to do as men, continue this ministry. Go forward. So see me at the class real quick. I know we gotta get out of here, but we can be on the hallway. I'll give you the address to my house. We're gonna try to meet tomorrow at 5. Most High will. All right. That's all I got, bro.
Anybody else have anything?
I would like, look like it's just kind of rushed this time.
Yeah.
We need to check that out. In here, we're gonna stop and then up and down. So we need to stay on one accord with one person.
Yeah. I don't know how I got that stuff.
I don't either. So I'm gonna talk with him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, and if anything, right. So in the future, if there's any way that we could get the larger room, because I noticed like they'll have someone in there, it just be like 2 or 3. They be in there doing a little painting. They can come in here and do it. And maybe we can go over there if that's possible. Yeah. They over there in the middle of the floor, still in that paint. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. It's online. It's on one of them on Facebook. You know. Man, we're gonna go ahead and close out those online. We're gonna go ahead and close out, fam. Oh yeah.
Let's go ahead and take it. Do y'all want shirts? No, do y'all want new shirts for the upcoming? Well, Trump is not gonna be doing. We're not gonna be doing anything.
We're talking about for tabernacles. They'll give us plenty of time.
Shirt, give me your money, please, because most of the time when we did this, I was fronting the money, and then I was waiting on people to give me their money for that shirt that they ordered. So if y'all want shirt, there's 2 things y'all need to do. If y'all want a different logo than what we have, different colors than what we have, I need those as soon as possible. Give them to the guy so we can come up with a format. And number 2, if you want this shirt,
bring the funnies.
All right. So if y'all, we can talk about it next Saturday. Y'all can give y'all time to marinate on it. If y'all don't want to do any more shirts, that's cool. If you want to do shirts, let me know. We can do shirts. You got any ideas for different logos and for the ministry shirts? Let me know. We'll keep that around and give it to the guy and give us some samples back.
And I know the sisters have a different cut, so keep that in mind, sisters.
Yeah, young brother said the dates of the features. I think we gave them last time.
Yeah.
We'll put them on the Order McKelvin Day website. Since we gotta get out of here. We'll put them on the website for the dates of the features.
That's right. All right, let's close out. Hey, I'm looking like they're trying to rush me. Ecclesiastes.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Pray God will keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of man. God should bring every work into judgment, and every secret thing, that, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Let's pray. Our Father, which art in heaven,
Holy be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Come,
Thy kingdom come,
will be done in earth
thy will be done on earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread,
And forgive us of our debts
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
and we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
Lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Praise the mighty God.
Praise
No, you know.
Well, next time, we just, I put them in the